Good afternoon, Shubhajit and Rupa. Can you please check if secretary sirs have joined?
Okay, I'm checking.
Rupa, can you please check with secretary sir, please?
Yes, please. I'm checking.
Hello, Mr. KK Dwivedi will be joining at 3:15 or so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he will be joining at 3:15.
And Rupa, secretary sir, Tripura.
He's not picking up the phone. I've sent a message that we are about to start. He's yet to respond. He will be joining in a moment, I guess.
Oh.
Good afternoon, Mr. Todi. Hello, Mr. Todi.
Mr. Todi is on mute.
I'm available. I'm there, sir.
Shubhajit, am I audible?
Yeah, but it's little weak. You're audible. You're a little weak on your audit.
Chairman, Mr. Baheti has also joined.
Mr. Barua,
Chairman, secretary, principal secretary sir has joined.
Barua Sahib, you please moderate it. The first session, you only little bit moderated only. Huh?
Hey, Dr. Dwivedi has joined.
Dwivedi sir, good afternoon.
So, can you ask Vishwanath to take off this backdrop?
Good afternoon, Mr. Todi.
Good afternoon, Amit Babu. Good afternoon.
Chairman, principal secretary Assam has joined.
So Barua, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How is my audio now?
Yeah, it's much better.
Okay.
So I was just requesting you to moderate the session, in the sense just to invite people and all that. I don't know if we need, we will. I'll request you to.
Good afternoon, Divedi sir.
Good afternoon, Raviji and everyone. I'm having some video issues. I'll join in a few minutes.
Good afternoon, Dwivedi sir. This is Ashok from CII Calcutta, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you. There were some technical problems, so I got delayed to join.
No issues, sir. Sir, we have Mr. Barua, our Chairman, Northeast Council, Mr. Ravi Todi, Chairman of CII Eastern Region MSME Subcommittee, Mr. Amit Saraogi, Chairman of our Agri Task Force of CII Eastern Region, and also Mr. Hemant Beheti, who is the co-chairman of CII Eastern Region MSME Subcommittee, sir.
Great.
Ashok, I think we should start. Whenever he joins, we will let you know. I think he's busy with the CM's, in the CM's chamber. So he's not picking up my phone. He's also secretary to CM. So he must be a little bit tied up. So when he joins, I'll let you know. Let's start.
So, with your permission, Chairman, can we start?
Yeah, let's start, please.
Yeah. Zoha, can you please start with the introductory note, please?
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 9th edition of the CII Eastern Region MSME Conclave. The focus today is on East as well as Northeast. Beginning with the inaugural session, may I call upon stage Mr. Ravi Todi. He's the Chairman, CII Eastern Region MSME Subcommittee and Managing Director, BTL EPC Limited. Over to you, Mr. Todi.
Thank you very much, Zoa. First of all, I'd like to welcome all the guests for this MSME Conclave, which is focusing East and Northeast. Thank you very much for taking out your valuable time. Mr. Shri Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Meghalaya, Shri Shongoma, Dr. KK Trivedi, IAS Principal Secretary at Commerce Department, Government of Assam, Dr. Prashant Kumar Goel, Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Tripura, Mr. Abhijit Barua, Chairman, CII Northeast Council, Mr. Amit Saraogi, Chairman, CII Agri-Tech Committee, and Sri Hemant Beheti, Co-Chairman of CII MSME Subcommittee. A very, very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of CII and on my personal behalf, I welcome you all to this 9th edition of the CII MSME Conclave. The Indian MSME, as you all know, have been seeing a very, very phenomenal growth in the last few years compared to overall industrial sector, and has been playing a very vital role in dispersal of industries and generation of employment opportunities. In fact, the new MSME definition and the new MSME focus of the central government in the last couple of years has really given a flip to the industry. Despite the rising importance of the MSME in our economy, the sector is really grappling with several issues that are hindering its performance, and also not being able to perform at the optimum level. Especially during COVID times, things have really been really bad for a lot of sectors of MSME, and the input prices of most of the commodities have increased phenomenally, and the small MSMEs who work with government departments and other private sectors are unable to meet the cost parameter because of the high input prices. With the changing policies of the government and the emphasis on Act 8 policy, the market is likely to experience considerable expansion. It is very necessary that the region gears itself to face the challenge and grab the opportunity. There is therefore need to identify areas where the region has potential for growth. MSME can make a huge contribution towards strengthening the rural economy and providing sustainable livelihoods. CII believe that there is need to strengthen the entire support structure relating to monitoring of mentoring, finance, quality standards, marketing inputs, and technology acquisition for MSMEs. CII is playing and intends to play a very significant role in this endeavor by supporting the MSMEs of the region. CII is playing a major role in handholding the MSMEs and propelling the growth. Initiative to promote the growth of Indian MSMEs are the core of the CII development agenda. Today's program is focused on East and Northeast. It is often said, I'm sorry. It is often said the Northeast region of India offers immense potential for growth of micro, small and medium enterprises. Given its geostrategic location serving as a gateway to the East and Southeast Asian market, the region offers immense potential for the growth of MSMEs. A closer look at the status of MSMEs in Northeast reveals that there has been a slow but steady growth of the sector. Therefore, determining the factor that have held back this growth is become very, very important and needs to be looked into by all sections of the economy. Today's program is aiming to extend support related to the factors that have held back growth. We are privileged to have with us Shri Sangama, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Meghalaya today, who sent us his inspiring message to us and also shared his valuable advice and perspective. We are also honored to have Shri K.K. Dwivedi, Principal Secretary, Industries and Commerce Department, Government of Assam, Dr. Prashant Goel, Secretary Department, Industry of Commerce, Government of Tripura. Sir, we are very privileged to have your kind presence and thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us and address us. I extend a very, very warm welcome to everybody. Now it is my privilege to welcome my CII colleague, Mr. Abhijit Barua, Chairman, Northeast Council, to please address and take over the proceedings.
Good afternoon to all of you, and in particular, I welcome Dr. K.K. Dwivedi, Principal Secretary of Assam, and Dr. P.K. Goel, Secretary, Department of Industries of Tripura, and my colleagues in CII. This is indeed my pleasure to address this gathering of MSME enterprises of Eastern India, and we are very happy to share with you that this is the first time the Eastern region has decided to emphasize and do a program focusing on the Northeast, particularly in the MSME sector. It is very common to hear that in the Northeast, the MSME sector plays a major role in economic development. However, I would like to point out that this is true not only in case of the Northeast, but in case of every state and every country. The MSME sector plays a very important role. Even the most advanced countries of the world, like Korea, Japan, and USA, the MSMEs contribute the highest, more than the large enterprises, to the economy of the country. And I had the privilege of visiting small businesses in US, and it was tremendous learning for me to know how closely the small businesses working with the government of USA and also educational institutes. And in the US and other advanced economies, it is the R&D institutes and the universities, they take the lead, and which are promoting many high technology small enterprises, which become large and giant ones, in fact, within the span of 1 or 2 decades. I am happy that in many parts of India, as well as in the Northeast, we now have the startup culture, and the government has the policy to encourage startups. And in many states like Assam, we have the infrastructure available for startups to come up and set up their businesses. And this trend of what was going on in the more advanced economies of some years back is now picking up in India also, in our region also. And I am very happy, and I'm sure the young entrepreneurs of this region will come forward to take a benefit of these schemes. When we talk about the MSc, I would already, it may be known to most of you, but still I would like to emphasize that what we call as MSc, MSME is actually a very wide spectrum. A enterprise with an investment in plant and machinery up to 1 crore and turnover of as a micro enterprise. In case of small enterprise, the limit is in plant and machinery is 10 crore and the limit in turnover is 50 crore. And in case of medium enterprises, the 50 crore and the turnover is 250 crore. So by this definition, more than 99% of the enterprises in the country are within the ambit of micro, small and medium enterprises. So basically we are talking about almost the whole spectrum of enterprises that are operating operating in the country. I am very happy to share with you that Government of India as well as the state governments of this region have been promoting the MSME sector vigorously, and in the last few years, particularly, the MSME Act has been passed, which has made many things now possible. And in every sphere, now we see that the MSMEs are getting the preference over large enterprises. For example, there is a policy of public procurement, and particularly I would like to bring it to the notice of my young entrepreneurs who may have started their businesses recently or in the last couple of years, that please do register your unit under the MSME Act and it's a very simple online registration. Nowadays, there is no need to visit any office. It can be done online and you get your registration as a micro or small or medium enterprise as the case may be. And once you are registered, we can go to the any government department and seek preference and take benefit of the benefit of the public procurement policy. These policies are widely available in the internet and can be accessed by anybody. However, if there is any difficulty, we at the CII office would be very happy to share that with them. And now coming to the latest developments in the Northeast, I would like to point out or bring to your notice that the Northeast region has been getting a lot of preferential treatment from Government of India. We have a special policy called NEETS, that is for the Northeastern region, and many units, hundreds of units have actually come forward, come up under the Government of India's Northeast Industrial Policy of called NEIIPP, and now which has been made NEIDS. So under these policies, there are a lot of benefits are available, and many of the units have already got the benefits. However, at the same time, while interacting with our entrepreneur friends, we come to know that there are certain grievances, and I would be failing in my duties if I do not bring those grievances to the notice of particularly the representatives of the government present here. The procedures is and the time lag for registration under NEDIS is pretty long, and only a handful of the units have so far been able to get any funding these schemes. Therefore, there is an urgent necessity to increase the speed and make the funding available to the units at the earliest possible, preferably within a few months of going into commercial production. I am sure the Dr. K.K. Dwivedi and other senior officials present here will take a note and will take up with the concerned departments and the government of India to expedite the process of registration, sanction, and disbursements of fund under NEIDS. Another issue that is very important is the fund banking finance requirement for the small units, MSME units. Of course, the now with the great emphasis on the MSME sector, banking finance has become much easier, and it is not that difficult. But at the same time, the rate of interest and the time taken to get a loan sanction is often area of concern. Today, we have a panel of 4 bankers representing the big banks of the country, and who will be here to interact with our entrepreneurs and also advise them how to approach the banks to avail the finance that is available at concessional rates to the MSMEs. The rate of interest is very important to the MSME sector, and because being new entrepreneurs and coming often from families of limited means, the entrepreneurs are not able. They look forward to low rate of interest, which is something that the banks need to seriously look into. And also the issue of collateral security is often a hindrance to the young entrepreneurs to come up with their enterprises. So I am sure our colleagues from the banking fraternity who will be here within the next hour or so will be interacting and will be letting us know the various schemes available for the MSME sector and any special benefits that may be available to the Northeast. So with these, I would like to conclude my address to this gathering, and I do hope that these eminent speakers following me and the interactions that we have in store will be useful to everyone present here. So with this, I conclude my address. Thank you very much for listening to me. And I now call upon Mr. Amit Saraogi to address the gathering.
Amit?
Yeah.
Your camera is off, Amit. Can you please switch on your camera also, please?
I'm doing it. Thank you, Mr. Barua. Good afternoon, everyone. Shri Conrad Sangma, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Meghalaya, Dr. K.K. Dwivedi, IAS, Principal Secretary, Industries and Commerce Department, Government of Assam, Dr. Prashant Kumar Goyal, Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Tripura, Mr. Abhijit Barua, and my CII colleague, Mr. Ravi Todi, Chairman, CII Eastern Region MSME Subcommittee, Mr. Hemant Bhaiti, Co-Chairman, CII MSME Subcommittee. A very good afternoon to everyone in the audience. I'm heading Livestock Task Force for CII Eastern Region, which comprises of poultry, fishery, layer. So I will focus my talk more on this sector. I would like to congratulate the whole team of CII for arranging this e-meet even in these COVID tough times. Friends, we all know that India is an agrarian economy which is livelihood for 70% of the households. In today's discussion, I will like to talk more about livestock sector in Northeast, which is a major source of employment and livelihood for thousands of farmers in this region. Northeast comprises of the 7 sister states: Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, and Sikkim, which is about 8% of total land area and 3.8% of total population of the country. The Northeast region in India has a higher preference for consuming meat and animal products in their diet. The area is well known as meat consuming zone of India. Hence, livestock plays a vital role and is very popular in mixed farming pattern by the farmers. There are no social restrictions in the consumption of any type of meat, but the most preferred meat is pork, chicken, fish, layer, and others. I would like to talk more about the emerging opportunities in livestock sector in Meghalaya and Northeast, Meghalaya, Assam, and the entire Northeast region. The livestock sector has been identified as a self-sustainable and more economical as compared to the conventional crop growing practices. It requires lower land, and even people with no land or very limited amount of land can do livestock farming. This market geography has a perspective for fulfilling the needs and demands of domestic as well as export markets. We can export from there. Myanmar is near to the place. Bangladesh is near. So our vision is to have a more efficient and continuous production and marketing of livestock and livestock products. The broad objectives of this mission can be listed as follows. Number 1 is to develop infrastructure and necessary conditions that can increase production of animal food origin like milk, meat, eggs, as well as to generate self-employment and expand farmers' operation to a larger extent. Better farming practices in terms of management, using better breed and better feed in order to improve production and protection of livestock and aquaculture. In livestock is a very technical business, so we need to build up adequate technical expertise. We have a National Institute of Fishery in Northeast only, but we need to do impart proper training and increase training capabilities for small farmers, traders, FPOs, community-based organizations, and other self-help groups, societies, NGO. We are seeing that FPO is playing an important part in new agricultural revolution. Then we know that marketing is very important. These days, people are buying online. There are companies who are delivering chicken, eggs online, including Big Basket, Amazon. Everyone is delivering meat products and egg products online. So, and we are into animal feed business. We know this sector very well. We, as a company, also we know that in Northeast, eggs are being imported. Fish is being imported from outside Northeast. Even piggery products are being imported. There is a huge potential to develop fish farming in northeastern states. States like Manipur and certain pockets of Assam, like Barpeta area, Morigaon area. These areas, they have developed fish farming on a commercial scale. But there is a lot more potential to develop, create similar areas like Morigaon all over the Northeast, because water is there, rain is there, water availability is there. So, as chairman of CII Livestock Task Force Eastern Region and as managing director of Anmol Feeds, we can help the farmers and the states to increase how to increase fish production, how to train the farmers, how to make inputs like good breed, good feed, good technical expertise to the farmers. We can help companies or farmers in processing various livestock products and doing value addition. We know that livestock is prone to diseases. We can, as a CII livestock task force, we can do training programs for disease elimination and prevention in the in this ground. And I will like to say that states like Bihar and UP have created their own layer farming and poultry breeder policies. Then some states has their own fishery policy, like the state of West Bengal is having their own fishery policy to promote farming as well as industries in this sector. So we as CII will like to work closely with state governments in helping them creating policies which encourages existing farmers and new people to start new layer farms, new breeder farms, new fish ponds. So this is what this topic is very broad, and because of paucity of time, I will like to stop here only. Thank you again, Mr. Todi and CII for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amit Saraogi. Thank you very much. May I now request Dr. KK Dwivedi, IAS, Principal Secretary, Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of India, to please address the gathering.
Good afternoon to all of you. And at the outset, I extend my thanks to Shri Abhijit Barua ji and all the CII team for giving me opportunity to participate in this very enriching conclave. It's a very relevant topic, and I'm happy that a lot of bankers are there. Otherwise, whenever there's MSP meet, industry meet, bankers are sometimes marginalized and left out, and they are not mainstream in the entire discussion process. So this is a good platform to discuss some issue related to banking, related to credit, related to the funding problem which MSMEs are facing. Before I discuss these challenges, let me give you perspective about the MSP sector. Most of you are aware that there are about more than 6 crore, say precisely 6.3 crore MSPs across the country. And MSP sector as a whole contribute about 30% to GDP. And they contribute more than 40% of the total export. And after agriculture, MSP is the second most sector which provides the maximum jobs and employment opportunities for the people in the country. If you see the in Assam's perspective, as per the latest data available, since 2001, about 66,000 MSMEs have been registered. Many of them by this time might have been closed down. We are going for the new survey, so we'll get the correct picture. So as per record, 66,000 MSPs are here in the state, and they contribute 39% to the state GDP. And if you see the total industrial scenario, then the MSP comprises about more than 99% of the total industry, and large industry is hardly less than 1% in Assam. So in this perspective, if you can see that how important MSP sector is, actually this MSP is the growth engine for any economy of any area, any country, any region. And these are the backbone of the industry as well as the overall economic sector. And if MSPs are properly promoted, then you can promote the accelerate the growth and prosperity in the region. So far, other than the credit issues are concerned, most of the states have come out and brought out the ease of doing business. Now they have created a better enabling ecosystem where the MSMEs are not facing any problem, where it is registration, getting the incentives, subsidies, all those things. But unfortunately, this ease of doing business scenario is yet to be introduced in the banking sector. And the credit has been the biggest challenge for MSMEs. Without the fund and without the capital, industry, particularly MSME sector, cannot grow. But here in Assam, they are having the biggest challenge so far the credit and funding is concerned. If you can see the scenario of Assam, there's about 3,700 bank branches across the state. But the CD ratio in the state of Assam is 47, which is much below than the 65 CD ratio, which is the national average. This data is related to 2019, I think 2019-20. So, but the scenario is same in last 1 and 2 years. If you see the CD ratio of other states like Punjab, the CD ratio is 229%. In Maharashtra, it is 98%. In Telangana, it is 116%. Gujarat, 85%. So if you see the developed state, progressive state, the CD ratio has always been better. And the backward state and underdeveloped states, there has been a problem in the CD ratio. And I personally feel that one of the biggest challenge and biggest bottleneck and hurdle in the growth and development of the MSME sector in this region is the credit. So I think that banks should take a note of it and come forward and be liberal when there's a question of extending loan and credit to the MSME sector. Always when we interact with the banking sector and the bank officials, they always come up with the NPA, that the NPA is very high in Northeast region, all those things. But you see the volume of the and the total amount under NPA Northeast, I would say that one businessman in Gujarat and Maharashtra causes the NPA, that would be the total NPA of the Northeast. If you take the example of one big businessman who has caused the NPA for a banking sector in Gujarat and Maharashtra, the entire NPA in the Northeast region will be less than that. So if you see the volume, it is not that, challenging and that not negative what it has been always portrayed. So this should not be issue. Particularly during the COVID, MSMEs faced a tremendous challenge. There's a liquidity problem. Flow of cash was not there. They faced a lot of problem because value chain was disrupted, and they were looking for the support from the banks. But unfortunately, there is a lot of problem. Then Government of India under Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, they brought out a scheme of emergency credit link guarantee scheme. Under that, 3 trillion rupees was earmarked, 3 lakh crore was earmarked for the entire country. But unfortunately, here in Assam, particularly Assam, maybe in the Northeast as a whole, in Assam, only 1,700 crore rupees were disbursed. So you can see the such a out of 3 trillion rupees, only 1,700 crore is nothing. So if you're not going to provide the credit and liquidity and the cash to the MSMEs, so this sector will remain undeveloped and always face these challenges. Let's go more specific. This is the general picture. There's a scheme called Prime Minister Employment Guarantee Program. Most of all the states are implementing this scheme. In Assam, the last year the target was 5,836, and this year the target has remained the same. But unfortunately, last year only 33% target was achieved. So far, the fund disbursement is concerned, and this year only 8.92%. This is a very pathetic situation and not a very, I would say, very disquiet and very discouraging picture. So banks should come forward and see that these problems, these hurdles are removed, and they should be liberal and should extend financial support to the MSPs. So far, state government is concerned, we always support the MSPs financially. We have many schemes, incentives. We provide interest subvention scheme under NEETS, Northeast Industrial Development Scheme. Government of India has also interest subvention scheme. under our state policy, we provide this kind of interest subvention scheme. We had started CII scheme. That was also to support the very small businessman and micro enterprises. But unfortunately, that also did not click because there's a participation of bank is very crucial in those areas. So overall scenario, if you can see in the state of Assam and Northeast, is very disturbing, very disquiet, and very discouraging. But now time has come that the situation should change. Now CII and other industrial association, banks and government should come together. See what are the challenges, what are the problems, why this credit is not being extended to MSMEs. And if any support is required from the state government, we are open to discuss with the MSME association, industrial association, as well as with banks. And will come forward with some kind of intervention, some kind of subvention to support this sector. So let us work together, and this is a good beginning. We should understand the constraint and problems and challenges of industry, MSPs and banks as well, and come out with a solution. And I assure you that Assam government is committed and will work with all the stakeholders to create a better ecosystem, to bring out changes and introduce new innovative and creative subvention so that the MSP sector can flourish, they can grow, and they can bring growth and prosperity in this region. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And I personally thank you for keeping my request to join and address us. Thank you. And you're very, you have been associated with the MSMEs for such a long period that I don't have to tell you any new, you know everything already, because you have been guiding the and leading the MSME as well as overall industrial development of the state, and much of the initiatives that we see today comes directly under your leadership. Thank you very much, sir, and we will definitely try to work together with banks, other associations, and with the governments of this region to take this region forward for better economic development of the region. Thank you, sir. Rupa, do we have Dr. P.K. Goel now? Has he joined now?
No, sir. No, sir. He is busy in a meeting with the Chief Minister. He will join in the technical session. He told me if once he's free from CM's meeting. So we can go ahead with the other presentations, please.
I think should we play the address of the Honorable Chief Minister?
Yes, please.
So,
getting it played, please.
A very good afternoon to you all. It is a great pleasure for me to address this 9th edition of CII MSME Conclave, East and Northeast, which gives me this opportunity to share Meghalaya's perspective in particular and the Northeast perspective broadly. Firstly, I would like to congratulate the CII leadership present here in this forum today for organizing this much needed initiative. It's great to see that the Northeast states of India as well as the Eastern states have come together with a common objective of the growth and development of the industry, with special focus on MSMEs in this entire region. MSMEs are lauded world over as prime drivers of economic growth with equity, and their contribution to output and employment in all economies, developed as well as transition economies, cannot be understated. The micro, small and medium enterprises sector is a critical component of India's growth story, making significant contributions to GDP, employment and exports. What is equally noteworthy is that the sector has been able to maintain an annual growth rate of over 10% for almost the entire decade and has grown faster than overall industry in the country, which makes a compelling case for concerted policy interventions to build an enabling ecosystem for the vast multitude of MSMEs to move up the value chain. With the announcement and immediate implementation of Startup India and Stand Up India, even the central government has shown its focus on the development of the MSME sector in the country. Generously endowed with vast stretches of fertile land, rich expanse of forests and substantive minerals and hydrocarbon deposits, India's northeast is potentially one of the richest geographical units of the country. The strength of the MSME sector is not only to provide employment opportunities at a lower capital cost, but also to assist in the industrialization of rural and backward areas. This will enable and empower them for participation in the inclusive and accelerated development of the Northeast region. Acknowledged as the gateway for the government's Act East policy, the government has placed a special emphasis on the development of MSMEs in the region in order to bring economic prosperity to the region and propel their contribution to the nation's GDP. About 98% of the region's borders form India's international boundaries. It shares borders with China, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Myanmar. Given its strategic location, the region can be developed as a base for India's growing economic links, not only with the ASEAN, but also with neighboring countries like Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal. Recently, the central government has taken several steps to overcome infrastructural bottlenecks to induce sustainable development in the region. The strong focus on roads, railways, airports, and hydropower developments are some of the key steps in this direction. These initiatives will help the MSMEs not only in the smooth flow of the raw materials for the production purpose, but will also help in taking the products to the consumer market and also in export to a great extent. There is immense potential for the MSMEs in Meghalaya, ranging from the areas such as investment in agriculture, tourism, mineral-based industries, IT, infrastructure, and others, as well as in creating new avenues of growth through the development of vertically integrated food processing chains, cross-border trade, etc. As multiple avenues of growth and development emerge, it is of paramount importance that the region as a collective identity embarks on a vibrant journey to realize the dreams of a better future. This vision can be realized only through the combined efforts of all stakeholders, including the MSMEs. Meghalaya is one of the states in India that covers an area of approximately 22.5 thousand square kilometers. About 70% of the state is covered by forest. The Meghalaya subtropical forest ecoregion encompasses the state. Its mountain forests are distinct from the lowland tropical forest to the north and south. Meghalaya has predominantly an agrarian economy with a significant commercial forestry industry. Meghalaya has an ideal location advantage for Southeast Asia market. The neighboring countries, namely Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, have been involved with the state for business and commerce. It has a huge potential to reach other South Asian countries as well. Meghalaya is also geographically rich in minerals and has the potential for industrial setups based on these mineral resources. Above all, the Meghalaya industrial policy is framed for the ease of doing business and increased trade and commerce. The added advantage being the climate in Meghalaya is good for the development of electronic chips. Types of industry that can be ideally formed in the state are mineral-based industry, horticulture and agro-based industry, electronics and information technology, export-oriented units, tourism, and besides these, the recent development in the state has seen many upcoming services sectors on customer service, real estates, etc. I'm sure that today's deliberations in this conclave would come out with effective means and ways for development of industry in this region. I'm sure that CII would continue with its endeavors and interventions across this region to achieve more better results. At the end, I would once again like to thank the CII leadership for organizing this virtual conclave and wish a grand success to all its future initiatives. Thank you, Kublai, Mithila, and Jai Hind.
Thank you. May I now request Mr. Hemant Baheti, our co-chairman, to kindly present the concluding remarks. Sir, you're on mute.
Shri Conrad Konkal Sangma, Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Meghalaya, Dr. K.K. Dwivedi, Dr. Prashant Kumar Goyal, who will be joining us, Mr. Abhijit Barua, Mr. Ravi Todi, Mr. Amit Saraogi, and a very good afternoon to all the participants. I would like to formally bring this inaugural session to the close. We have witnessed in the past years that MSME sector has to represent the ability of Indian entrepreneurs to innovate and create solutions. So the importance of MSME has been talked about by all of us here. The CII is working with the policymakers and planners to formulate a comprehensive strategy for the speedy development of the sector and deepen the engagement with the MSME and expand productivity. What we want is that the lack of awareness of the schemes by the Ministry of MSME, which is there, should be made known to all the people present. And when we say that the Eastern Northeast is backward, which also gives us an indication that there is a very low-hanging fruit also. Means the states which are backward can quickly come forward also. So with little bit of intervention and with the support of all the participating members and the states, I think it is not difficult that the Northeast can progress very fast. So, assuming that the growth in other states is say 5%, possibly there's a possibility that the Northeast can grow at a pace of 20%, which would be remarkable. So there's a lot of gap which is there and which we can cover up very fast. I am honored to present the formal vote of thanks to Sri Conrad Konkal Sangma. His message was very inspiring. Unfortunately, he couldn't join in physical, but his message as a support to the MSME is of great help. And I think he talked about the possibilities of Meghalaya, the mountain forests, the general availability of the minerals, the possibility of the agricultural growth in that sector, that state, and plus also the possibility of electronics to come up in the region is quite inspiring. Dr. Dwivedi, I think Dr. Dwivedi also stressed on the importance of MSME, and Assam is having 66,000 MSME, but the credit requirements are not being met properly in the Northeast region. So he stressed upon that, and fortunately we have the bankers sitting here. The message must have gone directly to them. And I think by the end of the session, we'll definitely come out with some solution. Dr. Prashant Kumar Goyal will be coming up and joining us very soon. I would like to thank Mr. Abhijit Barua, Mr. Ravi Todi, and also like to thank Mr. Amit Saraogi. I think Mr. Saraogi also stressed upon the resource-rich Northeast state, and where there is a good possibility of livestock farming. And as has been talked about by all of us, that 98% of the boundaries are connected to the foreign countries. So the possibilities of export from the region is also great. I thank all the esteemed panelists from State Bank of India who have joined us, from Punjab National Bank, NABARD and SIDBI, and the industry leaders from the region for joining the session. I once again thank all the participants. I would also like to thank all the CII all the members of the CII team who have made this program which will definitely turn into a successful program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Baheti. Moving on to our next session, which is a very interesting bankers session. We have with us Mr. Ravi Todi, Chairman CII MSME Subcommittee. He would be moderating the session. Our panelists, Mr. Prithvijit Das, he's the Deputy General Manager SME SBI LHO Guwahati. Mr. P.S. Manoj, DGM SIDBI. Mr. S. Pal, DGM NABARD, and Mr. Ramesh Chandra, DGM Punjab National Bank. May I now request Mr. Ravi Todi to kindly... Hello.
I'm there.
Mr. Ravi Todi to kindly take the session forward, please.
Thank you so much, Zoa. Can I request Mr. Manoj, are you there?
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. I'm very much here. Good afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much. And Mr. Sureen? I can't see Mr. Sureen. Amrita Sureen.
Mr. S. Pal would be there.
S. Pal. Pal Saib, can you please switch on your camera, sir? So, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking out your valuable time. We are all aware of the major issues, credit issues the MSMEs are facing. And the MSE sector in India is really plagued with credit issues, and the credit gap has significantly swelled up. What aggravates the loaning situation is the recent liquidity crunch due to the past default cases of NBFCs. However, the liquidity support measure announced by the Reserve Bank of India recently would put some small lenders back on recovery path with immediate relief from the working capital crisis. We have now a lineup of bankers who can definitely put little light on how things are shaping up and what are in store for MSME. I want to make it a little interactive session, gentlemen, and I will definitely like you to address the issues of our members on the problems that they are facing. Can I start with Mr. Prithvijit Das, Deputy General Manager SME SBI LHO Guwahati, to address us and take it forward. Mr. Das, sir. Mute action. Dasha, mute action. Mute action. Sir, mute. You're on mute, sir. Mr. Das. You're on mute, sir. Yeah. Now we can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Das, sir. Please.
Good afternoon. A very warm good afternoon to all of you. It gives me great pleasure to be present today in this MSME conclave with all the members of CII and all the distinguished guests. The CII's contribution for the promotion of business in Northeast India has been immense, and so has been the contribution of SBI. SBI is the biggest bank of India and has nearly 50% of the business in this part of the country. We are the lead bank in 6 of the 7 states, which comprises of our circle. And the advances are divided into 3 segments, namely personal, which also includes the housing loan, micro, small and medium sector loans, and agricultural advances. MSME loans, along with the agricultural loans, are the most important segment for the growth of the economy, and any reduction in its activity leads to recession. SBI has more than 16 lakh SME units in its fold, comprising of 11.8 lakh accounts, with a portfolio of rupees 24 lakh crores. SBI has a market share of more than 14%, with 22% of the ticket size being lower than rupees 10 lakhs and 14% of ticket size between rupees 10 lakhs and rupees 50 lakhs. The financial year 2021 and 22 was a very bad year for the world economy due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which caused due to its second wave. We were badly hit by it, and the entire nation is not just fighting the COVID-19, but are also facing multiple challenges. As our respected Prime Minister Modi ji rightly stated, that every citizen of the country has resolved to turn this crisis into an opportunity. We have to make this a major turning point for this nation. What is that turning point? A self-reliant India or Atmanirbhar Bharat. MSME is the only sector which will play a vital role in making India a self-reliant country. The lockdown across the country has brought our lives and businesses to a standstill. Many industries are facing challenges due to this slowdown in demand, supply chain disruption, and lack of manpower. However, MSME remains as one of the strongest drivers of economic development, innovation, and employment. MSME provides employment opportunities at a comparatively lower capital cost and acts as an ancillary unit for large enterprises to support the system in growth. In fact, one of the things that this MSME COVID-19 has brought about has been the definition of MSME has changed, because they have added its turnover also to the existing investment in plant and machinery. So this was a great change that was brought about by this COVID-19. The MSME business owners must build trauma management capabilities to be able to respond to a crisis with the inherent strength, resolve, and resilience, which has been amply proved by the way they have tackled the second wave. In fact, as compared to last time, the economy has shown a growth, which last time there was a spiraling down effect where the economy was concerned. COVID-19 has significantly increased the odds of around 19-24% of the 63 million SMEs in India being at the risk of insolvency or extinction. Around 1/4 or 1/5 of the balance sheet of the loans to SMEs are at the risk of becoming NPAs. Around 10 to 25 million jobs in SMEs are expected to be lost, particularly the temporary staff in manufacturing companies. It is just not an irrational anxiety that is expressed in these dark predictions, but it is indeed a serious possibility. And India is not the only country to be affected by COVID-19. The global economy too has been reset with the possible cost of COVID-19 anywhere between $5 to $10 trillion based on the current estimates. So you can understand, in fact, the government, RBI has come out with something called a resolution framework 2 for resolution of COVID-19 related stress. All the MSME and non-MSME accounts, including SMA accounts which as on 31/3/2021, with fund-based and non-fund-based exposure not exceeding rupees 50 crores and had slipped into NPA after 1/4/21, has come under the purview of this resolution framework 2.0. This particular scheme is open till 30th September 2021. What are the things that are required for this particular to be a part of this resolution framework 2.0, which is basically a restructuring of the existing loans? The MSME is required an Udyam registration, and GST number is required for non-MSMEs, barring those units which are exempted from GST. Operating functionaries this is something is meant for us, not for you. So this is one particular thing that is very important. That is this resolution framework 2.0, which is there for restructuring of all loans. Other than that, there were other loans which has also been brought about. That is the Arogyam healthcare business, non-metro, which is very much evident for us. We can give a loans up to 100 crores, and it is covered by the government of India through its credit guarantee scheme. One second. This Arogyam healthcare business loan, as I was saying, in accordance with the introduction of the loan guarantee scheme for COVID-affected sectors by NCGTC, a new product, Arogyam non-metro healthcare business loan has been introduced. This is meant for the healthcare sector for setting up or modernizing, expanding hospitals, dispensaries, clinics, medical colleges, pathology labs, diagnostic centers, facilities for manufacturing of vaccines, oxygens, ventilators, priority medical devices, public healthcare facilities. The maximum loan is rupees 100 crores. The metro, this is a non-metro scheme, and metro cities like Chennai, New Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, and Pune are not eligible for loans under these guidelines. This is basically, these loans are covered under LGS CAS, that is the loan guarantee scheme for COVID affected sectors. The guarantee cover provided by NCGTC would be 50%, 75% in case of projects coming up in aspirational districts, and in case of brownfield projects, and 75% in case of greenfield projects. I think what a brownfield project means, entails is this, those projects which are basically set up in some existing unit which was earlier functioning, but for some reason it is not functioning anymore. And this basically setting up a unit out there is known as a brownfield project. Loans will be considered classified under priority sector lending. 50% concession has been proposed for upfront and processing fees and for inspection charges. So this is one of the schemes that has come because of this COVID. Along with this, we have the existing emergency credit line guarantee scheme providing 100% guarantee cover by National Credit Guarantee Trustee Company to member lending institutions on guarantee emergency credit line GECL of up to 3 lakh crore of eligible MSMEs, and there basically GECL 1, 2, 3, and 4 has since been launched, and that is also something which has come because of this particular endemic pandemic that has happened. Along with that, we also have the bank, our State Bank of India has got something of the e-smart score or the contactless lending platform. Another thing that we have gone in a very big way, that is contactless lending platform. This is to provide hassle-free finance for working capital, term loan for business activity for units who have applied on online lending platform. It is a cash credit as well as a term loan. The eligibility is the chief promoter or chief executive should be between the age of 18 to 65 years. And applicants must obtain a minimum overall score of 60% with a minimum of 50% under each subhead like personal details, business details, collateral details of our internal scoring model. Loan amount is minimum rupees 1 lakh and a maximum of rupees 5 crores. The rate of interest is based on EBLR or external benchmark based lending rate. Working capital margin is 25%, term loan is 33%. Collateral security need not be insisted as the loans are covered under CGTMSE. We have the pre-approved business loan. This is also something, it is basically again a contactless loan, which is given to current account customers, non-individual sole proprietorship classified as micro unit. It also is basically this particular scheme is basically provided, the leads are generated by the State Bank of India Analytics Department based on artificial intelligence. The loan amount is minimum is 50,000, maximum is rupees 10 lakhs. It is a digital sanction. And since it is a digital sanction, the question of interaction with the bank official is not required. This is one very good thing about this particular loan. This has also, we are giving a lot of stress to this particular loan because of this COVID pandemic. We have the existing loans are also there. There's the PMEGP loan, which would definitely go a long way in boosting the economy. This is the Government of India, Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program. This is a central government scheme which is being administered by the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. The scheme is being implemented by the Khadi and Village Industries Commission, a statutory organization under the administrative control of the Ministry of MSME as a single nodal agency at the national level. Here also, the maximum loan amount is 25 lakh for a manufacturing unit and 10 lakhs for a business sector unit. The rate of subsidy is 35% in the northeastern region for rural area and 25% for urban area. We have the SME gold loan also, which is basically something that our state bank has introduced. This is also for a proprietorship concern with the maximum loan limit being rupees 50 lakhs. However, these are some of the schemes that I wanted to discuss today, because these are all schemes which have come about because of this COVID-19 pandemic that we are presently going through. The 8 northeastern states, which cover 2,63,179 square kilometers of area, is 8% of India's total area, and they face number of critical development challenges. The region is characterized by low per capita income, low capital formation, inadequate infrastructural facilities, communication bottleneck, and geographical isolation from the mainstream. It is also characterized by inadequate exploitation of the natural and human resources, for which industrial activities are very low in the entire region, and high unemployment rate among the relatively high literate people. Of late, Indian government has been making concerted efforts for the economic development of the region. The number of MSMEs in the northeastern region, including Sikkim in the MSME sector, accounts for a total of 10.64 lakh MSMEs, which is quite significant comparing to other parts of the country. Assam, popularly called the gateway to Northeast India, has the highest number of MSMEs, estimated at 6.62 lakh, housing numerous industries like tea, agriculture and allies, sericulture and tourism, as well as cane and bamboo products. Coming second in the list is Tripura with its bamboo and rubber production, followed by Manipur with its handicraft industry, Meghalaya and Arunachal Pradesh with their tourism, which has taken a huge beating because of this COVID-19 pandemic. Nagaland with its handicraft industries, and Sikkim has the least MSMEs owing to their geographical isolation from the backstream and communication bottleneck. The youth population in the Northeast is about 4% of the total working population, as per estimates of the Ministry of Skill Development. The COVID-19 pandemic situation has brought home thousands of migrant youths from northeastern states from different states in India. They have either left or lost their jobs and employment in these states, and are seeking employment in their respective home states. Here, MSME has a major role to play in providing employment and entrepreneurship to these youths. It would also help in kickstarting the economy, which is presently going through recession, resulting in a negative growth rate in the economy. The MSME today occupies an important role in directing the development process for growth and prosperity of the northeastern region. However, the sector has been facing a tough fight, not only against its own counterparts, but also from large and organized sector of the country and also from the MNCs. Poor infrastructure and inadequate market linkages are also key factors that have constrained growth of the sector. Owing to the presence of such multi-pronged deficits, and full potential of the northeast region could not be tapped. The reverse migration is a reminder for all the states in the region to undertake rapid development of MSMEs in the state, for which the bank, our per se State Bank of India, has got a very major role to play. As I was saying, there are several schemes like the PMEGP, the Stand Up India, the Mudra loan, which is basically loans below rupees 10 lakhs, etc., which along with the bank and the government would help to develop the entrepreneurship skill among the people of this region, which will go a long way in making them self-sufficient, thus usher growth of MSME in the region. I express my gratitude to you for giving me the opportunity to address you. I thank all of you with the wish that our country, especially the northeastern region, will move forward with a new zeal and with a new pace to fulfill the aspiration of all its citizens. Thank you, Mr. Todi, for giving me this opportunity. And thanks once again to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dashaib. That was a very comprehensive download of the various schemes and opportunities that are there. Thank you so much for sharing it with all of us. Can I now request Mr. Ramesh Chandra, Deputy General Manager PNB, to please address us, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me thank CII for inviting me to this August gathering. We at PNB have been with our customers all together throughout the pandemic period. The schemes which my colleague from SBI discussed, all through wherever the government support is there, we have also been participative. In Northeast, we are the second largest bank with almost a presence of 472 branches. So it makes us as the second largest bank in this particular area. Now, basically, we are looking at MSME opportunity as per the recent announcement by the finance minister. Because here the thing is the technology-based lending, the smart lending, that has to take over. There are a lot of collaborations which will happen with because here the asymmetry of data is one of the challenge, which could be complemented by the new players which are emerging in the system, like the initiative which is allowed by Reserve Bank 5 years back, the account aggregators who have data of different financial products availed by the customers from various financial sector entities. The co-lending with the NBFCs, that is also, we have some partners. So we have some of the schemes which are purely cash flow based, because we understand that the challenge faced by the micro enterprises are in terms of giving the financials which are reliable, the information which can be customized as per our requirement. So we have a GST Express loan up to 1 crore. We provide on the basis of the GST returns filed in the last 12 months. This is at a very competitive rate. We do have come out with a PNB Jeevan Rakshak scheme for setting up oxygen plants, because recently we have seen what it means for the country, because this pandemic has basically been thrown its challenge to life, which was taken care by the doctors and hospitals, and the livelihood, which the MSME have to take care, and the financing needs of MSME were to be taken care by the financial sector. So we have been together with our customers, wherever they need, they have been provided assistance. And since from 1/4/2020, we had a amalgamation with 2 banks, one of them being prominent bank of Northeast, which was called as a T Bank, United Bank of India. So we have a very competitive tea policy, which suits the requirement of the tea industry, because tea industry requirements are different than the other industries. So we have a tea policy which suits the customer needs, and we have been providing the support wherever needed. And in Assam particularly, almost 50% of the districts, we have the LDMs. So we have a very close connect with all these northeastern states. And we had in our zone, Guwahati zone, because Sikkim is covered from Kolkata, all other states are covered from Guwahati. So we created a zonal office in Guwahati in 2020. And another circle office we are going to create at Imphal, so that we can have a better connect with the people in the state. And we are going to open the branches in the districts where we don't have the branches. So our reach will definitely going to increase. And we have been very aggressive in terms of creating satisfying the credit needs of the different customers and filling the credit gap, because credit gap in MSME is very, very huge. I mean, only 16% of their financing needs are taken care by the formal sector. Almost 84%, as for the data available, comes from the informal sectors. So the data asymmetry is, in a way, there are players which are coming up in the industry, because when we look at the MSME requirements, see, a lot of data is not sitting in our systems. We need a lot of data from the customer side. So that needs to be filled in to better understand the requirement of the MSME. Because many of the entrepreneurs, they face the challenge in terms of not understanding what the bank needs. So we have been organizing various literacy camps for MSME customers also, other than the customers which are in the financial inclusion category. But there are a lot of micro enterprises which can thrive with the right information at the right time, and also funding them in the right manner. So for smaller entrepreneurs, very small artisans and all, the Mudra scheme up to 50,000, we have made it totally contactless, purely automated. This gives a lot of ease of doing banking. The Dwivedi sir was talking about the ease of doing business. In line with that, the banking sector has got ease 4, which will definitely complement with the existing requirement of the customers, with the leaner processes, automated processes. In that initiative, we also will be coming out with dial a loan and credit at the rate click and all those things, which are actually government is expecting the banks to do. And this will definitely help the MSMEs in a better way. So we at PNB are always looking at the opportunities which are available within the whole Northeast, and we have also, because a lot of infrastructure development is going on, so we are a part of funding many of these projects, and naturally these projects have the MSMEs also doing a lot of contracting jobs and all. So there also we are actively engaged, and we are providing the services in whole through value chain. And we have the branches which take care of the trade finance needs of the customers. Not only the foreign trade finance, the domestic trade finance also, we are actively engaged with them, because there are a lot of opportunities which are coming up within the Northeast. So PNB is actively looking for entering into these areas and providing them ease of doing banking. And we hope that we'll be coming up to the expectations of the customers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramesh Chandra. Now can I request Mr. Sudhimani Pal, DGM NABARD, to please address us.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, all these participants of the gathering. And I thank CII for giving us the opportunity to present our views, NABARD's view in this forum. So before presenting our views, let me introduce our organization first. As you all are aware, NABARD is the pioneering institution for channelizing credit for agriculture and rural development. Though we have started since 1982, but our functions have been diversified from financing, refinancing, direct financing, and capacity building. And also we are promoting many developmental activities like for tribal development, and we are also working in climate change proposals. And now our portfolio is diversified, and we are also doing consultancy services through our NAPCons. So before coming to the topic, first I tell you that NABARD is an institution which is preparing the credit potential, that what we call the potential linked credit plan for all the districts throughout the country. In that credit plan, we try to find out the gap where the credit is not flowing and what are the bottlenecks and what could be done so that the credit can be smoothly flow to the desired sector. So in that paper, which we prepare from the grassroots level for all the district, and then we aggregate it at the state level, and that is called as state focus paper. And all those findings, all those potential are presented at the state level, which provides some inputs to the preparation of the state budget. So based on our this potential survey, or what we call the assessment of credit potential, we have find out some issues which are the hindrance for flowing credit to this MSME, particular this MSME sector. Though we are finding the gap for all the sectors of rural development, but I will highlight here the problems which are faced to flow of credit to this rural sector. These problems can be categorized in two parts. That is one we can see from the demand side, which the entrepreneurs are facing, and other is the supply side, which the bankers or the financing institutions are facing. From the demand side, what the entrepreneurs are facing is when they are trying to set up any enterprise, that time they don't have the proper skill. Secondly, this enterprise, when they are trying to set up, mostly depend on the local raw material supply of which are generally erratic. Then that means there is no constant flow of raw material, and which the enterprise may face some problem. And those entrepreneurs, since they belong to rural area and small entrepreneurs, they have low capital base. They are not used to absorb shock. If any untowing incident happen, then they are not capable of to absorb this shock. And secondly, the poor transport facility in this rural area. One I'm specifically talking, the transport facility is very poor. And second, the next is inadequate communication with market, and thereby unable to modify their products as per the customer choice. Those entrepreneurs are many times not able to assess the requirement of customers, so they are not able to modify their products. Similarly, these entrepreneurs don't have the control over the price, because they are small entrepreneurs. They cannot control over the prevailing price of the market, and they even not aware of the competitors' view. And next is unaware of various credit facilities available, because now you might be aware that Government of India is announcing various schemes, and banks also have also so many schemes to give boost to this MSME sector and providing credit to these entrepreneurs. But these entrepreneurs are many times not aware of the facility provided by the government and also by the banks. And the cumbersome procedure they have to face while getting credit from the banks is another hindrance, so that the entrepreneurs are not coming to the banks. And these are the major points there. So since there are so many points, but these are the major points what I like to highlight here. And when we come to the supply side, supply side means the problem encountered by the banks. The problem encountered by banks is they are unable to find a good entrepreneur. Good entrepreneur means who is having technical and financial skills and who has the required skill to run a enterprise, and the attitude of the entrepreneur should be serious so that the business can be run in a right manner on or as desired, and the whatever the when the entrepreneur is set up, it has to be some forward or backward linkages, some backward linkage for raw material and forward linkage for sale of its products. That is also absent in many cases. And the poor recovery is another issue for the bankers, which drive them away from financing. Similarly, many times the banker proposal come to the bankers for financing units which are not viable or may not be viable in that particular region. Similarly, many borrowers, they have taken loan from multiple institutions, which is another hindrance, because taking multiple loans put pressure on the borrowers to repay the loan. So bank, whenever any borrower has availed loan from any other institutions, banker generally avoid those borrowers. And thirdly, the bankers also find those who run the entrepreneurs are don't have that management skills, or they are poor in the management of the entrepreneurs. So these are the issues which hinders the flow of credit to the rural sector. But here I can say that since NABARD is the pioneering institutions, we are having two products for this. One is our refinance and finance product. Refinance product is we are providing refinance to the bankers for on-lending to the MSME. Also, we are providing refinance for all private sector, but we are also providing refinance for this MSME sector to all commercial banks, rural banks, and cooperative banks, small finance bank, and also NBFC MFIs. Similarly, recently to meet the liquidity crunch by the institutions, RBI has announced special liquidity facility. Under this special liquidity facility, NABARD is also extending refinance, short-term refinance up to 18 months to state cooperative banks, RRBs, and NBFC MFIs, and small finance banks. These are two finance products we are having. But apart from that, NABARD is also undertaking skill development of these entrepreneurs. NABARD is running projects for skill upgradation of these entrepreneurs who are interested to take entrepreneurial activities. NABARD is providing capacity building of them and also handholding support to get those entrepreneurs set up, and also get loan from the banks and all the benefits which are extended by government and the banks. So these schemes these skill development initiatives are run by bank through our channel partners. Sometimes these rural RCT institutions run by the banks, and any other skill development institutions, approved skill development institutions, NABARD is roping with them for providing skills to the entrepreneurs who are interested to take up this enterprise. And lastly, I would like to say that since this MSME sector, though in the first session, many speakers has told that MSME is a emerging sector which contributes 29% of our GDP. So, and its growth is around 35% during last 5 years. And it also contributes 40% of our export. So there is a huge potential in this MSME sector to grow, and banks which are having their traditional financing portfolio can see this as a business opportunity to diverse their business to financing those MSME activities. So as already we have discussed, I will not go into detail. Now I will I'll just highlight those what are the action points needed addressed at this point of time so that the flow of credit will increase to this MSME sector. The first I will tell that the working capital as well as investment needs of medium, small and micro enterprises and artisans or handicraft units should be adequately met by the banks in a hassle-free manner. As I pointed out that the entrepreneurs are facing so much hassle, so that the bank should take care that they should get the credit in a hassle-free manner. and no insistence of collateral where credit guarantee is available. Whenever credit guarantee is available by government or any other means, then the collateral should not be insisted upon. Then ensuring bank finance to startups and first generation entrepreneurs trained under entrepreneurship and skill development programs. Those who are trained under this entrepreneurship and skill development programs, they should be encouraged to start startups. Then development of industrial area for intensive promotion of MSME. Now this intensive promotion of MSME, any special economic zones are being developed. So bank is also see this is an opportunity to finance in those areas. Then supporting MSMEs by expanding trade opportunities. When trade is there, foreign trade, which export is there, banks also support those MSMEs where they have export oriented and export agreements, so that this sector can grow up. So these are the major points what needs to be done, or action points are to be done. We have highlighted, and from NABARD side we are extending credit facility, refinance facility to this sector through our various portfolios, various schemes that we have already discussed with the bankers, and time to time we are also in touch with them to whatever our schemes we are having. With this, I would like to complete my address, because these are the major highlights for this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Palchar. Can I now request Mr. P.S. Manoj, Deputy Manager SIDBI, to please address us. Thank you, Manoj sir.
Good afternoon, Todi sahab, and all the participants of this important conclave of CII in this 9th conclave. And you've selected a very worthy topic on the development of the north and northeastern sector of the country. I am heading the SIDBI Kolkata branch. And in SIDBI, what we have seen is in the east and eastern side, of course, we are doing a lot of direct finance activities. In the northeast, what we have seen generally is the bankable proposals for MSMEs are not coming through the way we require. Actually, the requirement of due diligence exercise, what we found for clearing a proposal today, is very stringent. This is, as my bankers colleagues will agree. So such kind of proposals which can clear the requirements of the bank for sanctioning a proposal for a new proposal or an expansion proposal is not that much coming through. That is the real facts what we have seen, the ground reality in the northeastern area, 7-8 states what we have seen. So SIDBI, generally we are focusing on our promotion. We have, as our mandate is promotion, financing and development. And we are mostly concentrating on the promotion and development activities in the northeastern states. There is a lot of interventions are taking place. I'll come through that in later part of my talk. So our SIDBI has come up with some major schemes recently after this COVID related problems last year, since 2020 March. First, we have introduced SAFE and SAFE Plus scheme was well received. Around 175 crore portfolio was allotted for the entire country, and it was consumed within a very short span of time. That was for the first attack of the pandemic. Then the second wave came. Then also SIDBI has come up with the two new schemes, which is already in force. April it was announced and still going on. Around 600 crore portfolio was allocated for two schemes, which is basically for oxygen-related manufacturers and for any COVID-related drug manufacturers or this incubators, oxygen manufacturers, any kind of activity which is fighting the COVID and oxygen. This was two schemes were launched, which is known as SHWAS for oxygen manufacturers, MSMEs, oxygen manufacturers in the MSME sector, and the other scheme was known as AROG. So both the schemes, the beauty of the schemes were this can be used for either for working capital or the machine purchasing requirements of the MSMEs. The working capital issue is generally the working capital bankers will be already present with almost all this thing, but still we have come out with a scheme where an additional WCT or working capital requirement SIDBI can pitch in along with the commercial bank without any kind of additional security. That is the beauty. That was the beauty of the scheme, because the CGTMSE cover, which was insistent on this, SIDBI will be bearing that cost. Normally, a CGTMSE has a cost of annual servicing fee has to be borne by the MSME It varies between 2 to 2.5% based on the outstanding on an annual basis. So this we decided that SIDBI will bear this cost to minimize the difficulties of MSMEs to avail the schemes under WCTL for this both this Saraogi and SWAS. 100% funding is provided for this any of your project requirement, any loan requirement or WC gap requirement. 100% is met under this scheme, and the rate of interest is also very attractive. In the SWAS scheme, which is an oxygen manufacturer scheme, the rate of interest is varying between 4.5 to 5%. And the repayment tenure for a working capital loan is 18 months. And for a machine requirement can go up to 5 years. And another beauty of both these schemes are that normally the bankers charge a processing fee. Here, the processing fee is completely exempted. No processing fee will be chargeable. And if you the 5-year loan period, normally if you come for a prepayment of the loan, the bankers will be asking for a prepayment charge. Here also SIDBI is not charging any prepayment charges. So anybody wanting to take a loan after 1 year, you want to prepay that loan, it can be done without any kind of charges and without any the processing charges also, and no CGTMSE charges also. This is basically given for units which are already into this new activity under this auction. See, we have come across cases where non-related business activities were coming for this. That will not be permitted. Idea is to increase the availability of the oxygen or the drug manufacturing in this particular sector. So units which are already into this line, which were encouraged to take funding under this scheme and enhance their capability and the deliverables. This scheme is open till September 30, 2021, or the fund availability, which is exhausting before that, it will be over. Otherwise, September 30th, the sanction was available, it can be availed up to March 31. Apart from these very new schemes have also been launched by SIDBI recently under the Special Liquidity Fund of the Reserve Bank of India was announced after this pandemic. Around 16,000 crore was allotted to SIDBI. Out of that, 2 schemes are launched which are known as Arise and Stapan. Arise is basically for brownfield units, the units which are already into business, who are having 2 years audited balance sheet and having a 2 years cash profits. They are given loans for enhancing their capacity or modernization. And the loan requirement, it can go up to 5 crores up to loan can be covered under the scheme. And up to 3 crore loan, 100% funding is provided. 100% of the loan can be given by SIDBI. And the collateral requirement will be only normally the promoter's margin, what we put for 20 or 25%, bankers insist on a promoter's margin. That has to be kept as a SIDBI FDR. That is the only condition. And this requirement of 25% can come down to 20% also in deserving cases. In very good proposals, it can come down up to 20%. Another attraction of the scheme is the rate of interest. In the Arise scheme, it starts from 5.5% and it can go up to 7%. Only this thing is a 5-year loan generally. First year, the 5.5 will be 5.5, whatever is the rate fixed, and the credit rating of the customer will be for a first year. Then second year onwards, depending on the availability of the funds and the rates fixed by the Reserve Bank, the rate will be slightly varying. It can go up or down also. Slight variations will be there during the remaining part of the loan. So this scheme is called Arise. Here they can be, I told already, the 5-year repayment period, and in deserving cases can go up to even up to 7 years also. Another scheme is called the Stapan. This is for greenfield projects, completely new projects coming up also, which can be funded. And the loan requirement up to 20 crore is covered under this particular scheme. The main requirement which has been MSME, the SIDBI's internal guidelines is that the CIBIL scores of the promoter, the due diligence has to be cleared. The CIBIL scores of the promoters have to be 700 and above. That's what we look for. And the CMR of the unit has to be within up to CMR 6. CMR 1 to 6 is our accepted criteria. Apart from this, we have another scheme called Solar Rooftop, wherever the power intensive units are there, where the power costs are very high. SIDBI has a tie-up with Tata Power to fund the solar rooftop projects. Here also 100% of the requirement is covered up to a loan size of 3.5 crores. So any loan requirement above 3.5 crores, the remaining amount, so for example, 4 crore project is there, 3.5 SIDBI can give, 50 lakh has to be provided by the customer. 3.5 is the maximum, 100% of the funding is possible up to 3.5 crore. Here the requirement is under the Tata Power scheme is coming. Tata Power will be giving a FLDG arrangement is there, first loss default guarantee they'll be giving. If that is given, the total requirement of the security will be only 30% of the loan. For example, 1 crore loan you are asking for, 30% security only need to be provided to SIDBI as an FDR. Other 100% of the solar rooftop thing will be covered by SIDBI. Otherwise, if it is a non-Tata Power case, it can go up to 45% of the collateral requirement. 100 rupees loan means 45 rupees security will be required, because as you know, the solar, this thing will not have much value, economic value from the resale point of view. Already it is covered already. The CGT MSE scheme also, you must be aware, the CGT MSE is also floated by SIDBI and the Government of India, that is available for our loans up to 2 crores. Any loan requirement, any collateral requirement instead of the bank and collaterals you are not having, then this scheme can be availed, and the loans up to 2 crores can be covered under this CGT MSE. And another thing is UK Sinha committee report also must be aware also. The state governments are being allotted a fund of 2,000 crore all over the country. 2,000 crore has been allotted to each state government. SIDBI has been given this fund to administer. It's called the SIDBI Cluster Development Fund. So any industrial units, industrial estates they are already having for refurbishing or setting up new industrial estates, or setting up the industry facilities inside industrial estates, or connecting the road, connecting roads, connecting bridges, post offices or hospitals, whatever is possible can be given. But it is through it will be administered to the state governments or the government institutions, not private sector. This is for basically refurbishing the existing industrial estates. And the Mudra scheme also is covered. SIDBI's Mudra is also SIDBI's only Prime Minister's Mudra Yojana. The loan requirements up to 50,000 up to 10 lakh rupees is covered in this Mudra Yojana. Refinancing by this agency, by any other banks giving, Mudra can be refinancing this loan. No other collateral requirement will be there under that. Coming last but not the least, this promotion development activities and CSR activities of SIDBI is also very important in the northeastern sector. What we have done, 3 or 4 cases I'll just touch upon. Guwahati Medical College recently, around 1.5 months before, we have given a 1 crore fund for setting up a 100 ICU bed for the COVID ward of GMCH, just Guwahati Medical College Hospital, just dispersed already. And in the Sundarbans area also, we have intervention has been done. For there's a lot of waste to wealth project is there for this fish scales are there. The women and folks are trained for converting this fish waste. Fish waste means fish scales into handicrafts. Another scheme was also in the Sundarbans for tailoring. Around 20 lakh was sanctioned for setting up tailoring units, very small units. Women people who were economically backward were trained for tailoring activities, and they were encouraged to set up micro sector enterprises, which will be finally subsequently finding favors from the banking sector by giving small loans. So that grounding was also done. And in the latest one is in Howrah cluster in Calcutta. We have given air water generator has been given to the industry, because you know in Calcutta there is a problem of this arsenic pollution in the groundwater. So to provide just as a start only, we are expecting that this will be catching up with other corporates and banks. This is inaugurated last month only. A small loan grant was given of around 2.8 lakhs to the cluster for setting up an air water generator. That is, from the atmospheric air, water will be generated, drinking water, and 120 liters per day will be generated. It will be helping the local industrial workers of that area who are otherwise purchasing the water. This is giving free of cost. They are purchasing the water, so we thought that it will be helping hand, and the local association has agreed to do the maintenance of this air water generator. So we hope that this will be catching up in very short span of time. Thank you once again. This is in a nutshell SIDBI's schemes, and I welcome anybody interested, any of the entrepreneurs interested in SIDBI schemes, to visit our site or any of our offices available in Calcutta and other parts of the northeastern states. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Manojji, for this thing. So, are there any questions, or I can start the ball rolling? We have another 5-10 minutes before the next session starts, or actually it's already due, but I'll just maybe wrap up in 2-3 minutes. So we heard all of it, and we understand the new schemes and all that. But the problem, sir, is the biggest problem the MSMEs are facing today is the banks are only doing compliance. Sir. The banking has become very limited. The compliances have increased so much. every issue is being taken into a different threadware, and everything, and especially during COVID time, industries have faced a lot of problems. The rise in the input prices. The members are facing a lot of issues. Also, I'd like to add that the government today are delaying payments, and today most of the MSC members work with government, and they are suffering because of delays in the payments from the government, and that is why they are not being able to maybe keep their commitments to the banking. It's also very imperative that banks should now look at cash flow based funding instead of funding only on security or collaterals and all. Today, the biggest challenge MSE faces is collaterals. They are not getting enhancements, or they're getting their limits reduced because of not adequate margins available. So if a cash flow is there for MSME for last 2 years, then it should be a cash flow based lending, which the bank should work out, which will help the MSMEs in surviving. So I invite some comments from the honorable bankers here, if anybody would like to say, but I can go on a list of a lot of issues that the members are facing, but I don't want to just the small observations I have, sir.
Can I react to this?
Yeah, Manoj.
Yeah, see this very rightly put. Actually, this cash flow based lending should be the criteria for the bankers, and I'm sure that our bankers are. That is a primary concern, no doubt about it. All bankers, security comes as a secondary, but in the same breath, I'll say security is very important for the bank. See, I've come across cases where the cash flow based lending is fine when so far as it is doing well. But as a banker, this accountability must be, I don't know how many of you are aware about the accountability issues, what we face as bankers. When an account turns bad, the accountability, at least I know in my institution, that is treated very seriously. In an account turning NPA, the responsibility of the officer who are dealt with, which is very seriously looked into. And a unit was, an example, a unit which was lent based on the cash flow. So 10 years it has done very well. So 11th year or whatever reason, it can go. So at that point of time only the security issue will come up. This thing. That time we will be protected only because that is the law. Unfortunately, whether we like it or not, there is no absolvency for the bankers to escape that this thing. The question will be coming that why didn't you? This banking guidelines are enforced that this kind of this will be required. Not the 200% security, 300% security, but it is required to cover the loan in case of an eventuality. Where will you go? Ultimately, this is also business for us. So this has to be addressed. I know it's a very catchy kind of a situation, but 100% this is not possible. And the CGTMSE also, as I mentioned, the problem is the subsequent years of CGTMSE payment. It's a problem. That is a fact. It's a 5-year loan. First 2 years they'll be paying. 3rd year onwards, we have come across many cases where saying that, sir, your loan is being serviced properly. Why should I cover this? Please remove the CGTMSE cover. So it becomes around 2.5% is a cost for them. So they try to avoid that. So this is also a problem. CGTMSE when it gives also later on we get into that problem. I hope I'm clear. This is the concern. What is this only? Yeah.
Manoj, I agree with you, but please understand if 10 years I have paid well, my cash flows are supported. The 11th year, if there's some issue, there must be a genuine issue. The intention of the industrialist should not be questioned. Please understand, we are, for us, our bread and butter is our industry. We are employing people, we are taking risk. Today, everything in India is, criminalization. If I delay in payment of PF, ESI, everything I can be arrested also, GST, default, everything. So I'm taking a risk. We are not, if 10 years I have worked on an industry, I'm sure the bankers can take a view in that way, whether the guy is a genuine guy or there's been some genuine reason. Because today, I can tell you from most of our members here, the biggest problem is the government delaying payment, the public sector units paying delay, the non-refund of GST, which is the biggest concern, which is really affecting the cash flows. So that is the thing that we can only request our honorable bankers to keep in mind that we really mean our industry. We need some support, and especially in difficult time, because the times are not easy at all, keeping in mind the COVID and the raw material prices, input prices, the commodity prices have shot like anything. Any comments, Ramesh ji?
Yeah, basically, what you are telling is the right thing. What I spoke in my deliberation. See, when a lot of information is residing outside our system, from where you purchase and where you pay. So the discipline in that sense, because many of the majority is suffering because of the lesser revenues available in terms of cash flow based lending.
Yeah.
But where the honest people are there, they are doing their business honest. Definitely this can be thought of, and the banking fraternity is with the evolution of more information through these account aggregators and all those things, or the resilience. We can increase our systems capacities to capture the information which can be supplied by the borrower. But still, at the end of the day, when the things go bad, as the official from SIDBI, he told that there is a huge accountability, because ultimately we are dealing with public money supplied by general public. So, but with some model can be worked out, and where the money is stuck up with the government, in those cases, banks are supporting. In many places we have supported. And one more thing on the entrepreneur side is, if the money, because what is my experience, if the money remains within the business, that business always does well. But sometimes, say somebody has a requirement of, say, some tool, which is actually of a long-term nature. But in a hurry, he purchases from his working capital funds. So he gets stuck up. For that also, we had some scheme earlier in Oriental Bank of Commerce. But now we are also planning that, so that some kind of a cushion is available to the entrepreneur. So definitely this thing can be supported in deserving cases where the information asymmetry is not there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. I think we have come to the end of the session. Are there any further questions, Ashokda, from any of the members? We have Mr. Chiranjit ji here of NC Industries. Mr. Anil, any questions, Chiranjit ji? Anything for the bankers? Would you like to say something? So I request Mr. Barua now to take over and moderate the next session. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Ramesh ji. Thank you, Pal Sahib. Thank you, Raj Sahib. And thank you, everybody, Manoj ji. So we close the session and I hand over the proceeding to Mr. Barua.
Thank you, Mr. Todi.
Thank you, Mr. Todi.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rovi Todi. Now we come to the last part of today's program, where we have where we listen to Mr. Chiranjit Saliha, who is a veteran entrepreneur with a lot of experience in the SME sector, manufacturing as well as service sector, who has in the units in Assam, industrial manufacturing unit in Assam, as well as previously in Odisha, and also into warehousing and other businesses. May I request Mr. Chiranjit Saliha to please address us and share his experiences.
Thank you, Mr. Barua. My sincere thanks to you, CII, for giving me an opportunity to talk about the MSMEs in Northeast in general. And I would like to talk about, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Saliha. Please go ahead.
Yes. Especially, I'll confine myself. I like to confine myself to the problems that we face in our state in Assam, as I am not very, knowledgeable of the Northeast. You see, as many of the speakers have already said, that it is now needless to point out that MSMEs in the Northeast play a more, particularly in Assam, the backbone of economic development of the state. As Mr. Dwivedi has already said, about 99% of the MSMEs are microeconomies. Although we are agriculture-based state economy, about 80% of the livelihoods come from the agricultural sector, but the MSMEs in Assam provides about 62% to the economy, which employees, as per the NSS sample survey report, last report in 2018-19, about 18 lakhs of people are employed, whereas the backbone of the Assam's economy traditionally is a tea sector, tea industry, and the oil industry. And most of the MSMEs have grown out of the support to this industry in various manners, supplying pesticides, supplying fertilizers in the service sector, logistics, transport, and various other states. Now, after from 80, I will say about the 90s, early 90s, there was a spurt of addition of your registration of MSMEs in the Northeast and in Assam. But however, this upward trend in registration and the atmosphere of optimism suddenly, because of the pandemic, suddenly has gone down. As per the same report about NSS, I think National Sample Survey, last report, about 269,000 units are existing before the pandemic in Assam, MSM units. But it has been out of an informal and private survey, it has been reported that about 30% of them either closed or defunct or not viable, so they are out of business. So in a way, I want to first say negative, pessimistic side of the thing, that unless, because this MSME sector faces so many hindrances, that is like poor infrastructure, lack of capital, inadequate market linkages. However, the government of India has given a lot of incentives like NEEDS, Northeast Industrial Development Scheme, but unfortunately, the units that are registered here are not so many yet. Although the limit up to a higher upper limit is up to investment of 200 crores, they are eligible. And this also scheme is going to be over in 2022. We have been trying to develop here, the government has been trying. In spite of that, the encouraging, development of MSMEs have not taken place. In the few years ago, we under the, an event organized by the CII in Guwahati, I had the opportunity of interacting with the India head of World Bank and in the International Finance Corporation. And they were asking us that here we have noticed even in Assam, the units are set up, they grow and then stunted. They grow at a certain limit and then stop. The reason they said is the most important reason is the market linkages as well as transport costs of transporting them to outside the area, northeast area becomes too expensive and they lose the competitiveness. So during my, my journey in the last several decades and having been associated with various types of MSMEs, what I have found that industries, those are based on the raw materials available in Northeast, should be encouraged. Like Mr. Borua also knows that bamboo has got a great potential. Bamboo industry, we have got more than 50% of the bamboo cultivation compared in other areas of the country. But unfortunately, enough development has not taken place in spite of so many incentives being given, like the bamboo cultivation and bamboo park government of Assam has developed. And in spite of that, things are not very bright so far. But we want more people, entrepreneurs to come. At the same time, when coming to entrepreneurship, there is a lack of capital for the local entrepreneurs, and lack of, finance, access to finance. This is a traditional area of concern and of complaint of the MSME sector, MSME entrepreneurs. They're getting funds from the banks or financial institution is a big problem for them. You see, although they are in paper that is there up to 10 or 25 lakhs, they are not to seek any collateral. Bankers should not ask for any collateral. But in reality, they are not giving any loan without a collateral. And this is a personal experience. Our personal experience, when you ask for 10 lakh, 15 lakhs of rupees, they have to ask for a collateral, otherwise they will not give, bankers. So these are the, traditionally we have been facing these kind of difficulties in developing MSMEs here. You see, as I said before, most of the, many MSMEs are dependent on two sectors, oil and tea sector. For example, this tea, unfortunately, tea industry also in not a very good shape. Tea industry, tea prices are not rising. In fact, they are coming down, and auction prices are coming down. They are having problems. At the same time, the inputs cost is going up. All wages or input costs like pesticides, fertilizers, and all these are going up. But somehow or the other, the prices in the auction is not rising, commensurate with the cost rising. So these are certain areas, we face over the years, and small scale industries can develop with the, as I said before, that with the help, with the raw materials available, even agricultural sector, eri, muga, and other, raw material that is available here, spices, aromatics, so many potentialities there. We have been hearing, but enough entrepreneurship has not come forward to develop these areas to the extent that should have come. So to raise the economy of the state, economy of the region, we have to cultivate, we have to encourage the small artisans where they have in Mizoram, in Manipur, all these products can be exported. In fact, Government of India has taken an UNDP and Exim Bank has come together, partnered together to help exporting these specialized handloom items and all that from the Northeast. But that has not also has not taken much development so far. That is what I have understood. I mean, I have come to know. as I said, you know, tea industry employs about 11 to 12 lakhs of people, whereas MSMEs, small MSMEs, most of the micro industries, micro units are giving 18 lakhs of employment here. This is a very urgent need to, we have to encourage help from the government side, otherwise also to develop these MSMEs here in Northeast. And there should be some public awareness that these people, you know, contribute so much to the economy. 62% of the economy, of Assam's economy, is contributed by the MSME sector. But they are not being given by society or the government enough importance, or even the, I should say, financial institutions, or do not give that much of importance or the importance they deserve. So this is my experience over the years, over several decades, in doing so being associated with various service sector and industry. In fact, we are closing down some of the industries because of lack of demand and because the cost of transportation has gone up because of the rise in petrol and diesel prices, and it's difficult to compete with the products that is produced outside this region. So I will not say much about more. Thank you very much, CII Mr. Barua, giving me this opportunity to address this conclave. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saliha, and it is really wonderful to listen to you share with us your several decades worth of experience. I believe this is really invaluable experience, and there is so much that we can learn from you. And I also compliment you for continuing to run your operations, even though now you're become a senior citizen.
Yes.
It is.
I should say a super senior citizen.
So it is really an inspiration for the people who are a few years behind you to continue our own efforts and to be active and also serve society in whatever way possible. After all, let us be proud ourselves, whether we get recognition from the government or public or not. But let us be proud ourselves that we are the people who pay taxes, we contribute GST, we contribute income tax, and we also give employment. Many people, maybe hundreds of families are actually dependent upon, dependent upon our activities. I am sure, it is very easy for you to give up everything and just stay at home, but it will not affect you in any way. You can lead the life that you are used to, but it is going to affect the lives of all the hundreds of people who are dependent upon you. So it is our karma and dharma to continue our efforts, to continue our business and enterprise for the greater good of the society. And I'm sure whether it is our banks or it is the government or general public, there is definitely a change in the mindset over the last many years, and more businesses are acceptable profession or career, and more and more recognition is being given to business people. Of course, the Northeast is somewhat lagging behind in that. People in Gujarat and Maharashtra or many other states of the country, or for that matter, world, give much more, recognition and to businessmen. But I'm sure, I can see a change in the mindsets of our people, our young people. A lot of the young people are now coming forward, doing good business, doing, in the IT sector and many other sectors. And government is also trying its best to promote entrepreneurship. Many schemes are being coming up. to promote various entrepreneurial activities. And I am sure that in the days to come, our young people will come forward and take full advantage. And it is also important for us that we encourage our next generation, our younger people, to stay in the region, stay in the state, stay in the country, and continue to work for the country rather than go for a very cushy employment in some other some metros or even outside the country. So we will certainly carry forward our objectives, and we at CII are indeed very much grateful to you, particularly for showing us the way. Not only now, but you have been doing it for last several decades now. So thank you very much, sir. And I thank all the participants today. And I hope the deliberations today have been useful to you. And particularly the bankers have come forward and they have shared with us many schemes. And actually, I find that there are many attractive schemes now for the MSME sector. The rate of interest is also quite low. So I would request all our participants here, as well as our CII offices, to spread the information across the region, across the country, to encourage the MSME sectors to not to get discouraged by small hurdles that may be coming because of COVID and other issues currently. But in the long run, if we can sustain our operations for some more time, I am sure the days ahead will be much better. And there is already a lot of emphasis on Make in India. The Make in India is being given importance in every aspect. Private players are being encouraged in every sector. So I see the future quite bright for the private sector, for business in general, and MSMEs. And I do hope that this our objective of encouraging MSMEs have been successful in through this conclave. So with this, we come to the end of today's program. From the Secretariat, would there be any last message from Subhajit or anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Barua. Thanks for all your help and support. Thanks to Mr. Todi and thanks to Mr. Evan Bhaiti, Mr. Saraogi, and all the dignitaries. That's all from us. Thank you very much. It was very inspiring for us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.